Greetings. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm going to go over the essay that we read for today on mental health services in the police and homelessness. I think if you want to focus on some key problems, this is a very controversial topic, but I think it's a very timely topic as well. There are a lot of mentally ill people in our culture who are homeless, and a lot of times people look down on them. They're like, why can't you just get a job? Why can't you just fall into societal roles? But on a deeper level, many of them, not all of them, but many of them have mental illness, and they're not able to afford the prescriptions they need, or they're not able to get the therapy they need. And that's a big topic, and I think that constitutes quite a bit of mental health in our country. And I'm going to show some videos that also talk about this. But the beginning of this essay talks a lot about that, about how many homeless people are affected by mental illness. Near the end of this essay, it has a lot of really good ideas for paper topics. Remember, this has a lot of the problems. So in paragraph 3 of your essay, you're going to have to write about problems. This one has a lot. It also has some pretty good solutions. One of which would be crisis intervention teams. I know that many police departments are going towards this, but for example, what people are proposing is that the police have a crisis intervention team with them to help them deal with not homeless people, but mentally ill people, because many of the calls that the police get are with mentally ill people, and they may not be trained on how to work with them. So having a crisis intervention team in the police station who can go to those calls could really help. I think that's a great solution. I think also more officer training. I think that's a really, really good idea, on training them on how to deal with mentally ill people. I have a whole video that I'm going to provide that goes over this as well, but I think in terms of where we are out of the country, I think these are some really good solutions. They also talk about better veterans assistance, especially with the mentally ill and the homeless. I think that could be a great paper topic for us as well. Let's see. One thing people have been proposing, it's not really mentioned in the essay, is that police are armed more with tasers, that all police officers are armed with tasers. I know that in some situations, like in El Cajon a couple years ago, there was an African American who was shot. One of the policemen had a taser, one had a gun. They both fired at the same time. And you would think that, and the person, I think his name is Oglando, he was reported as having a mental breakdown, and his sister called the police, and when they arrived, she told them that her brother's friend had just passed away and he was having a mental episode, and the guy pulled out a vape pen that looked like a gun, and one police officer shot him and another one had a taser. So both fired at the same time, and if they both would have had tasers, they would potentially been able to solve this issue. And I'm not saying take guns away from cops, but in certain situations it might be better. And I know in the Mike Brown case, that for some weird reason, if you really research that case, they only had one taser for that entire police department, and that taser was issued out to somebody else that day. So it seems like if the police weren't, well, I'm not saying if they weren't armed, but if they had alternative weapons for these certain situations, it might decrease the amount of deaths and might create less fear in the mental ill community of people having fear towards police officers. So I think that's a pretty good solution. It doesn't really talk about that in this essay, but I think that's a good idea. And the essay has some other ideas as well, but what I'm really trying to do right now for you guys is help you come up with solutions for this paper. Remember, you're going to need 3 solutions. And I think this essay has quite a few. And I'm going to post some videos that talk about the prisons with the mentally ill, how they don't have enough facilities. I'm going to show some videos on police training and how some police units are having crisis intervention teams work parallel with them. So I think that those videos, along with these essays, will give you some really good ideas for the essay. All right, thank you so much.